How militaries waste insane amounts of money. Quick, send $5 trillion to Israel. Canada is known for a few things. Being polite, apologizing for everything, and somehow spending $8 billion on a helicopter. That's right, with a big B. So how in the flippity hell did they spend $8 billion on a helicopter? In the early 2000s, Canada said, we got some shitty helicopters, so let's buy new ones. Something high-tech and reliable. And what they got was the CH-148 Cyclone. This helicopter was made to hunt submarines, fly over oceans, and operate in harsh weather. Awesome, right? No. First problem, the timeline. The Cyclone was supposed to be ready around 2008. Instead, Canada waited, and waited, and waited. Until 2023, the worst year of mankind. Oh my God! Even with a 15-year delay, some of them were still not ready. At this point, the Sea Kings they still have in service are turning into dust. Second problem, the price. The program ended up costing over $8 billion. $8 billion. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt because maybe they built some kick-ass helicopter. The helicopters showed up overweight. Like too heavy to meet performance requirements type of overweight. Which isn't good for something whose main job is flying. Fourth problem, the software. The Cyclone relied on advanced systems, sensors, and navigation tech. But early versions were buggy, incomplete, and unstable as hell. And now we reach the most Canadian part of the story. Canada is not famous for beaches. It's famous for its ball-shrinking weather, snow and ice. The Cyclone had icing issues, meaning it wasn't cleared to safely operate in certain cold and icy conditions. So Canada made a helicopter that struggled with Canadian weather. For years, the Cyclone couldn't meet the standards. Delays, technical problems, maintenance issues, weather limitations. Meanwhile, the old helis just kept flying. Imagine being a helicopter from the 1960s and still flying around because they don't have enough funding to build another helicopter. Like, what can they do with just a measly, sad $8 billion? Am I right? By the time the Cyclone finally became operational, the entire defense community had aged. And there's even a funnier thing. Canada originally canceled a different helicopter project in the 1990s because it was too expensive. So Canada paid to not buy helicopters, then paid billions more to buy helicopters later, then waited 15 years for them to start working. To be fair, the Cyclone does work now. It's advanced, it's fast, and it's finally doing what it was supposed to do. But still, $8 billion The good old America, where we spend $997 billion just on the military instead of helping those, poor people. So the U.S. Army looked at itself and said, what if we replace everything? And some dumbass in the room was like, wait, what? Why would we even consider that? Not improve it, not upgrade it, not tweak it, replace tanks, infantry vehicles, artillery, recon vehicles, drones, communication systems, all at once. This beautiful idea was called Future Combat Systems, or FCS, or Fantastic Way to Lose Billions for short. The plan started in the early 2000s. The goal was simple: build a fully networked, ultra-high-tech army where every vehicle, soldier, and drone shared information in real time. Think Battlefield HUD, but in real life. And I mean, shit, that sounds awesome. There's just one but. The Army planned 18 separate systems that all had to work perfectly together. 18. That means if one thing failed, everything failed. And guess what happened? Everything failed. The vehicles were supposed to be lightweight. Why? So they could be flown anywhere in the world quickly, which is great, until you remember that armor is heavy. So the vehicles had thin protection, meaning the future tank could be killed by weapons from the past. Congratulations, you invented a glass tank. Meanwhile, the software side of FCS was even worse. Thousands of lines of code. Sensors talking to drones, drones talking to vehicles, vehicles talking to satellites, satellites talking to commanders, commanders talking to nobody because nothing worked. The system struggled with lag crashes, incomplete features, constant redesigns. They were basically just building patch notes. By the mid-2000s, costs started exploding. Estimates climbed past $100 billion for full deployment. Yeah, They were thinking it was going to cost $100 billion to set everything up. So what did the Army do? They kept going, for years. By 2009, after spending around $18 to $22 billion, the Army finally admitted defeat. FCS was canceled. Not paused, stopped. No vehicles entered full service, no complete system deployed, just prototypes and PowerPoint slides. Imagine spending $20 billion and you're like, well, we tried. But they still needed something. The Army needed new vehicles. So after canceling FCS, they started new programs, separate ones, that slowly rebuilt everything FCS was supposed to do, but individually, which means they paid billions to learn the lesson. Maybe don't replace the entire military at once. Some technologies from FCS survived: networking ideas, sensor concepts, drone integration. So technically, the Army salvaged some knowledge, which is a very polite way of saying this shit was not worth $20 billion. It failed because it was too complex and too far ahead of what technology could realistically handle. They tried to build a 2040 Army using 2005 computers. The United States again. Woo-hoo. I'm going to get straight to the point. They spent $22 billion. Yeah, again. The U.S. Navy wanted to build the future of naval warfare. The future. So they created the Zumwalt-class destroyer, a stealth warship that was designed by someone's ass imagination. Sharp angles, flat sides, no curves. The idea was simple. Build a destroyer so stealthy that enemy radar would barely see it. And to be fair, it worked. Zumwalt is one of the stealthiest surface ships ever built, which is great. But stealth alone doesn't win wars. You still need weapons, and that's where everything went wrong. Zumwalt was designed around a pair of massive cannons called the Advanced Gun System, so just like the A-10 that was built around the gun. These guns were supposed to fire special long-range precision shells, cool sci-fi shells. Each shell could hit targets over 60 miles away with extreme accuracy, which is insane. But again, in real life, each shell ended up costing about $800,000 per round, per single click. Now imagine being the Navy and realizing, if we actually use this gun, we will bankrupt ourselves. So they did the unthinkable. They stopped buying the ammo, which means the gun had nothing to shoot, which means the ship's main weapon was useless. So they removed the guns. Yes, they removed the guns from a ship that was designed around those guns. Oh my God, you literally can't make this shit up. That's like building a smartphone and realizing the screen is too expensive. So you just remove it. Originally, the Navy planned to build 32 Zumwalt destroyers. Then the budget kicked them in the balls. 32 became 24, 24 became 7, 7 became 3. From a fleet to a trio. Each ship cost between $4 and $7 billion depending on how you count development. That means the Navy spent over $22 billion total for 3 ships. Now let's talk about why Zumwalt became so expensive. First, automation. Zumwalt was designed with a tiny crew compared to older destroyers. Lots of systems were automated. It's nice until stuff starts breaking. Now, instead of sailors fixing it, you need specialized technicians, proprietary software, and prayers. Second, power systems. Zumwalt uses an advanced electric drive, which is cool, but extremely complex. Complex systems are not bad. Complex systems that need to survive saltwater, vibration, combat, and budget cuts are bad. Third, integration hell. Every advanced sensor, radar, and weapon had to talk to each other. When you stack experimental technology on top of experimental technology, you get bugs. Lots of bugs. Zumwalt became a ship that was amazing in theory and exhausting in reality. So what does the Navy do now? They're converting Zumwalt to carry hypersonic missiles instead, which means after $22 billion, the Navy looked at Zumwalt and said, I don't like you, but maybe you can be something else. So basically, reincarnation. But the thing is that Zumwalt is not a bad ship. It's stealthy, it's advanced, it's powerful, but it's also the perfect example of what happens when ambition outruns practicality. The Navy tried to build tomorrow's warship with today's technology. So Zumwalt didn't become the future of naval warfare. It became the most expensive lesson in naval history. Just because you can build something doesn't mean you should. The scariest weapon in the world isn't a missile. It's a bad idea with a government budget. I was going to ask you to watch my other videos, but this is the first one I made like this. So please, like, subscribe, and comment whatever. Cheers!